Have you ever thought that maybe the first chapter of a book isn't just an introduction, but more like a test, a gate you have to pass through to get to the good stuff inside? Well, that's exactly how we're going to look at Psalm 1 today, using some incredible insights from the theologian Dr. Bruce Waltke. This isn't just chapter 1, it's the gatekeeper to the entire book of Psalms.
I mean, really think about that for a second. You open this ancient book of prayers and songs, but instead of a welcome in, you find a locked gate. And there's a condition, a choice you have to make before you can even start the journey. That's the powerful idea we're diving into.
And this is the exact language Dr. Waltke uses. He borrows this amazing metaphor from the classic book Pilgrim's Progress and calls Psalm 1 the wicket gate. It's not just the first page you read, it's an ethical checkpoint. It's basically saying, hey, before you come in here to worship, you need to decide which path you're on.
So that brings us to our first big idea, the wicket gate to worship. You see, the rest of the Psalms are just bursting with praise and prayer, but Psalm 1 stands guard right at the entrance. It's a reminder that real worship requires some ethical preparation first.
And Dr. Waltke really doesn't pull any punches here. He says worship isn't just about showing up and singing songs. It's about the condition of your heart, the reality of your life. It puts this serious ethical demand on us right from the get-go.
So let's look at the very first word of the psalm. It's blessed. But hang on, this isn't about just feeling happy or having a good day. The original Hebrew word ashrah is so much deeper. It's talking about a fortunate destiny, a secure future that's completely rooted in your relationship with God, even when life is hard right now. So think of it less like a fleeting emotion and more like a profound, settled state of being. Okay, so to really understand who is blessed, the psalm cleverly starts by showing us who isn't. It lays out this powerful warning about what Dr. Waltke calls a progressive hardening into sin. It's a path that starts with tiny steps but ends in total spiritual decay. And you can literally see this downward spiral in the verbs the psalmist uses. Look at this. First, you just walk. You're casually listening to bad advice, kind of absorbing the wrong worldview, but then that walking stops and you begin to stand. You're not just listening anymore, you're adopting the behavior. And finally, you sit. You've stopped moving altogether. You are now fully identified with those who mock what is good. It's this slow, dangerous settling into a hardened state.
Dr. Waltke brings up this incredible quote from Alexander Pope that just nails this whole idea. You know, a destructive idea or behavior, it might look like a monster at first. You hate it on sight. But if you see it too often, its face becomes familiar. And pretty soon you go from hating it to enduring it to feeling sorry for it, and then you embrace it. It's a scary progression, right?
So, if that's the path to avoid, what's the alternative? Well, the blessed person doesn't just get strong by avoiding evil. They get strong by actively delighting in something good. We're told the righteous person delights in the Torah of the Lord. Now, I know when most of us hear the word law, we think of a stuffy, restrictive rulebook with penalties. But as Dr. Waltke explains, the word Torah is so much bigger than that. It really means teaching or instruction. It's a whole design for life that just flows naturally out of a relationship with God. And here's the absolute game changer. It's all about the attitude. The reason the psalmist finds life and joy, delight in this teaching is because they approach it with a sense of dependence. They're not gritting their teeth trying to earn God's favor through sheer self-effort. That just leads to burnout. No, they find delight in it because they're depending on God to live it out. Okay, so this huge difference in approach, delighting in God's way versus defying it, it creates two radically different kinds of lives. And to make sure we never forget it, the psalm gives us two of the most powerful and memorable images in the whole Bible. You've got a deeply rooted, stable, life-giving tree versus worthless, weightless chaff that just blows away. This is the heart of the psalm right here, a stark choice between a life of substance and a life of total emptiness. So let's look a little closer at this tree. It's not just any tree out in the middle of nowhere. No, it is planted by streams of water. Dr. Waltke suggests we can think of these streams as canals flowing right from God's Word. And because of that constant source of life, it's stable, it's fruitful, it endures, it prospers. It's everything you'd want your life to be. Now let's flip that and look at the chaff. It is the exact opposite in every single way. Chaff is just a leftover husk from the grain. It's totally rootless, it's weightless, it's useless. It has zero stability. The slightest wind of trouble or judgment comes along, and poof, it's gone. It's the perfect picture of a life that has no substance, no staying power.
So, a tree or chaff. This isn't just a personality quiz. The psalmist making it crystal clear that these two ways of being, these two paths, lead to two completely different final destinies.
But let's be really clear about who the righteous are. Dr. Waltke gives this amazing two-part definition. This isn't about being morally perfect, because, nobody is. It's about your orientation. Towards God, it's a posture of humility and dependence, and towards other people, it's a posture of love and service, having clean hands and a pure heart.
And this is so cool because this brings us right back to the beginning. The psalm uses this neat literary trick where it starts and ends with the exact same theme. It opens by talking about the way of the wicked, and it closes by contrasting the two ways. The whole chapter is perfectly framed by this idea of a chosen path. And it all comes down to this, the final, sobering summary from the psalm itself. One path is known, watched over, and sustained by God. The other path, well, it just dead ends. It perishes. The contrast really couldn't be any more stark.
So, we're back at the gate. Psalm 1 isn't just beautiful poetry, it's a choice. It's a gate that stands open, asking you to look at your own life, the advice you follow, the people you hang with, the foundation you're building on. The gate is open. The two paths are laid out before you, and the only question left is, which way are you going to go?